Hello, my marketing friends. How are you today? I'm really excited to share with you a little bit on the topic of storytelling. So, last time we were together, we really dug into the best practices of copywriting. And as I mentioned last time, copywriting is really an important strategy for your integrated marketing communications. And that is because it's really hard to get across a message that resonates both logically and emotionally with a person in just a few words. But it is one of the most difficult and one of the most impactful things that you can do as a marketer is to create great copy. So let's get started today. All right, so we're on the topic of storytelling, and I'm going to spend just a few minutes discussing why storytelling is such an important trend in both in social media and also in other mediums, and then how storytelling can influence a consumer's buyer's journey. Remember, it's so important to know where you want to reach your audience depending on where they are in their decision making process. And then finally, I'm really excited to have you start to brainstorm some story ideas for the brand you're working on for your semester integrated marketing communications project. So let's get started. All right. So, as you know, as consumers, the stories have been around for a few years. Started in Instagram. You can kind of look at stories now being on Facebook or has been for a few years. But what is in Snapchat really, which is the founder of some story or message that can be shared really quickly. It's very now, and the intent of a story is that it's here now, it goes away, just like when you're speaking to somebody, and in the social media world, it'll disappear within about 24 hours. But what the story really does is it encourages engagement with your audience. It's not just something static that has has a message to it. It's supposed to get you into the idea that the message is authentic. It's like conversation, and it's helping you understand the personality and the brand of the brand. So, since stories have been around for a while, what are brands doing? How are they integrating their goals and objectives? So here's an infographic. I have a link for you on the screen here if you want to take a look at it. So, one of the most important things with any marketing strategy we create is it has to align to your SMART goals and your objectives, because remember, we need to measure everything that we do as marketers, because we may not have a second chance. So let's test and learn and make sure that our stories align to whatever the objective is. So here's where stories have been taking their users. So think of this as the call to action that's going to let you know whether or not you've met your objective. So 59% of stories go to a shopping page. 23% will link you out to another social media platform. 10% a blog post, 5% a campaign page, so that would be like a little microsite or a page that will help you get your buyer to learn more before they purchase, and then 3% to another app. So remember, the most important thing to recall here is that the call to action aligns to what your objective is and where that consumer is in their buyer's journey. So, what do these stories look like? So, this particular infographic gives you an idea of, there's most of it is to promote products. So if you're promoting products, it could be a little bit in the awareness phase. It also could be more of an offer or something to help someone get to that buying that product. An inside look, which really is a little bit of learning more, influencer takeover, live events, how-tos, fan content, contests, etc. So the majority is really, as you look at it, promoting products, and then also, learning more, maybe getting some awareness for the brand. So stories, of course, can be static, or they can have a video. And if you recall from some of our digital promotions that we have looked at in past videos, conversion is significantly higher when there are visuals and when there are videos present, because it just helps the eye go to something more interactive. And it also um, allows your brain to store that information more in the short term or long term memory. So 82% of all internet traffic today uses video. And social media platforms are looking to target specific audiences. So you can see here we've got, I believe this is a Netflix story here. They're doing a little bit of interactive with some quizzes. And so those movies that they're sharing could definitely be targeted toward your demographic or your psychographic or behavioral consumer behavior. So it's really, really engaging. You can catch attention in seconds, and you need to really keep an eye on how you are engaging your users and whether or not using a video is more of has a higher conversion rate than not. So that said, so you're all familiar with stories. You see them, you use them every day. Some of you do create them for your career. I want to talk about the buyer's journey because this is so important. So as you've learned through integrated marketing communications planning, and as we have gone through this course, you understand that it is critically important for us to know where that consumer is in their buyer's journey. There's 5 steps. The first is getting to know you even exist, or that they have a problem. Once you know they have a problem, for example, I'm hungry today, where do they get their information? Are they searching are they searching Google? Are they going to a particular news site? But you want to be where they're searching for their information, and you also want to make sure that your messaging is available to them and what your value is when they're evaluating options on what they are going to, what they might buy. And then from the purchase perspective, the last thing is really making a decision. So are you going to give an offer? Are you going to ask them, maybe do some sort of heuristic where it's limited time now? And then finally, the post-decision evaluation. Are they happy with the choice they made? And how do you turn these buyers into happy customers and advocates? So right now we know this is sort of a linear process, but we as consumers bounce around these stages. It's not always linear. It's just laid out this way. So what I want you to think about is a recent decision that you've made that have followed this process. And were any sort of story, something you saw on Facebook, Instagram, or Snapchat, anything there that helped you influence that decision? And why or why not? So when we make decisions in the real world, remember from our digital analytics when we talked about creating SMART goals and making sure that we try to convert as many people as possible, we often look at a funnel, meaning we take each one of these stages and we try to fill the funnel with enough eyeballs, and that we try to convert as many of these people to buying the product and to being loyal. So sometimes we have percentages here where we could say, out of 1,000 eyeballs that we have on our story, maybe 100 of them will consider or go into that information or information search. Maybe 50 out of that 100 will start to analyze and compare. I'm hungry today. Am I going to get a sandwich? Am I going to get a sandwich from Jimmy John's or Subway or, Capriotti's? So maybe 50% of them go in the analysis stage. And then of the 50, you might get 3 or 5 that actually purchase. And then of those purchasers, how many of those people actually stay with you and repeat their business and speak positively about you? So our goal here is to increase the percentage of each of these so that we can better forecast our sales. And if you look at my, my little funnel I had for the web store when I worked at Honeywell, was that these were the types of mediums I would use based on where people are in their awareness of need. So if you're doing a video story, you can basically use that in any of these mediums, but ensure that the story is meeting what that consumer is looking for in each of those stages. So just a reminder that if you have a particular product or service, you would do or complete a journey map for each target audience. Because obviously a college student is going to act and think a lot differently than somebody who has a large family at home. So I want you to think about your clients' products and a number of stories that you could possibly use where that story would fit into this consumer buyer's journey and what types of tactics you would use. What mediums would you use? Would you put it in Facebook? Would you put it in Instagram? So I want you to always think of every target audience, the types of tactics you would use and where they are in that decision-making process. As always, you can find this tool in Canvas. And I want to just take a moment here to remind you of some consumer behavior theory. So when you're thinking about not only the decision-making process, but you're thinking about how to motivate a consumer to meet a goal that you have, we can use all of these different types of motivators. So we've got the psychological influences, meaning, people have different attitudes and lifestyles and needs and self-image. They may think differently or have a different memory process. So these types of concepts may impact the story that you're creating. And maybe the story is about a product or a promotion or they affect the product mix or the marketing mix. Situational influences. Perhaps they're in a new physical surrounding, they're on vacation, or they're thinking about a vacation. Maybe they just moved. What about social surroundings? Are you going to look at particular social groups that you might use in your visual content or in your copywriting? Purchase context. Are they a customer of yours or are they not? Do they not even know who you are? So situational influences will also impact how you want to create your story. And of course, sociocultural influences, whether, are you economically, maybe you're a luxury buyer, maybe you like clipping coupons. Do you live in a particular geography where, snowing in the middle of Christmas may not happen in warm parts of the climate? So think about reference groups. Maybe there's an influencer or somebody, a son with a dad. So all of these different consumer behavior concepts should be thought through and looked at in terms of your storytelling. All right, so how do we put this into reality here? So here we've got a story from Touch of Modern, and this is a couple swimming, seeing the world. So here we've got some behavioral, some people who have hobbies. Here, this one is I hate cardio. Great piece of copywriting there. So I used to hate cardio. See how that's popping up? So they've got great imagery here, target audience of somebody who likes to work out, tells a really interesting story. Here you've got the call to action, install your app now. You've got a little bit of a quote from a customer. So really nice copywriting there. So also in storytelling here, we've got some T-Mobile, some people within their areas. Pigeon. The next street you're going to look at, I can't read it that quickly, but you'll see here that it's visually compelling. Here we have Wag, which is the dog walk app. Super cute, some illustrative design here. You know exactly what you're doing by they're sharing a story with you of what the app does. And schedule your free walk today. So really very little copy, but the imagery here really tells the story nicely. Here we've got more of some product stories. So remember when you're at these are probably more in the awareness phase or maybe the decision making or the evaluation of options. Here we've got a really strong offer here. So they're trying professional styling tool, get $115 off. They want you to shop now. See, that call to action is shop now. They're giving you an offer. You are in the decision-making process of the buyer's journey. And here, want to build a snowman? So you've got a coffee here. Learn more. They're not trying to get you to buy anything. They're trying to get you to learn more maybe about the brand or how to make that cute snowman. So it's at the front end of the buyer's journey, maybe creating awareness for the brand, or it could be a story that you're telling to your existing customers who already use your product and now they're using your product. So let's show you how to create that cute snowman. So before we end here, we've learned about stories and how it's so important to not only understand your brand personality and to make sure that what you are creating aligns to your brand personality, it aligns to the objective that you're trying to accomplish, your SMART goal. You also need to consider where people are in their buyer's journey. I want you to do an activity that you can find in Canvas, and for your product or service that you're working on for your integrated marketing communications project. I want you to brainstorm 5 ideas for your client. Determine the objective of each story. Are you just trying to create brand awareness? Are you trying to increase sales? Are you trying to retain a customer? How do these stories align to your brand? Where does the story fit into the overall consumer buyer's journey? Is it post-purchase, decision making, information search? And which story of the 5 would you recommend to your client and why? So this is a brainstorming activity. I want you to complete it in Canvas, and I hope you've enjoyed storytelling. I know, the last 2 videos, copywriting and storytelling, are a couple of my favorite topics. So if you, as always, have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to me via Canvas. Leave a comment or a question in the comment section of YouTube here. And if you are interested in learning more topics from the Marketing Doctor, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I want you to have a fantastic day and practice your storytelling.